Hello, everyone. I'm Pacific, and welcome back to another episode of Gaming in the 2000s, where I talk about my gaming memories in the 2000s and what I thought about stuff. Now, obviously, some of the stuff might not be historically accurate because I'm a freaking child at this point, right? I was born in 1998. But we're going to talk about the original Halo trilogy and what it was like being a kid and really kind of growing up with Halo. And we're going to start with Halo Combat Evolved. Now, when I was a wee lad, I was like 3, right? 3 is when my memories actually started in real life. This game, I had not seen it drop, and it was amazing, right? I hadn't seen this game drop. I was alive when this game, like, I was, basically, it was like when my timeline started, Halo had already been released. And it was accepted by me, it was an accepted fact that this game was the best game in the world. Like, that's just what it is. Halo was the best game in the world, and nothing could dispute it. I mean, there were games that you maybe wanted to play to take a break from Halo, but Halo was the best game in the world. As a kid, I picked up on that, and that it was like the only first-person shooter that we played, other than James Bond. We had a James Bond game that I never played, but Halo was my first-person shooter, and I remember it wasn't mind-blowing to me, because it was granted that this game was out, and it was just out, and it was the best game in the world. And so, like, watching my brothers play it, yeah, it was cool, but what really blew my mind about this game, and I'd never seen this in any other game before, was the LAN ability, the ability to hook up Xboxes. I called it hooking up Xboxes. And hook up Xboxes and play with more than 4 people in one game all at the same time. Right? It was absolutely mind-blowing to me, because none of my other games could do that, and Halo could do it. Even though, my brother had computer games that could do it, I'm not gonna lie, he actually had computer games that could do it. Like Civilization and Age of Empires 2. But we're not gonna talk about those games. And Halo just, like, was insane. Other than that, like, the ability to break the physics with explosions was absolutely amazing. As a kid, you know that I messed with that, right? But I didn't play a lot of Halo, because my brother and his friend were always using, I don't know if it was our Xbox, I think it was our Xbox. I don't know, I never remember us owning an Xbox, but I think that's because I never saw it. Because I was a kid, you don't want Jared messing with the Xbox. But after my brother and his friend played the ever-living crap out of Halo, one time I watched I think it was 7, 8, or 9 people play Halo all at once. Mind-blowing to me. I wanted to do that when I grew up, and look at me, I'm playing online gaming, right? Halo 2 came out, and I was about 6 when Halo 2 came out. And I remember not really playing it on an Xbox controller. I remember playing it on the 360, because the 360 came out in 2005. And we had a 360 and it could play Halo 2. That's what I remember, was actually playing Halo 2 on the 360 a year whatever later after it came out. And that game, I could see the build, the improvement upon the first Halo game a little bit. The only thing I could really see was the mechanics, right? Because I knew, like, the original Halo, you couldn't dual wield. I remember Halo had one assault rifle. In this game, you had an SMG and a battle rifle, right? And that was about it in terms of improvement. I never really focused on the Halo 1 graphics. I didn't focus on, Halo 2's graphics. I didn't see the comparison because I didn't play a lot of Halo 1. Halo 2, I played the campaign over and over and over and over and over again. And then I made another account and started from the beginning and played over and over and over and over again. It was awesome. And I also played a little bit with my cousins, Halo 2, just kind of, I think just my cousin at the time. And it was very interesting, the multiplayer. It was very interesting. I never played it online, and in fact, the online didn't actually blow my mind as much as Halo 1's capacity to, hook up Xboxes, because I was like, well, this is obviously the next step, right? Like, if you can hook up Xboxes, you just hook them up from really, really long range away. And what went through my mind was online play must be so much harder because you can't look at the other person's screen. That's what went through my mind, was the ability to not look at someone's screen, right? And I was like, I guess it's more fair and more competitive, but you know, whatever. And I remember watching my brother and his friend play a lot of online with that game, and it was really cool watching them kind of play together. And the dual wielding, I abused the ever-living crap out of dual wielding. I figured out so many little tips and tricks for dual wielding, and used them and abused those tricks, just like I did with rocket jumping in Halo 1, that I kind of just saw. I mean, in Halo 2, you could do that too, and that's really where I honed my skills of rocket jumping. And also targeting with rockets, that's cool. But other than that, the game's story was amazing, and I didn't really notice anything else, even though, technically speaking, the game was miles better than Halo 1, even though some people liked Halo 1 better. But after Halo 2 came Halo 3, and that game improved so much on Halo 2, and I was like, I think I was 9 at the time, and it blew my mind. Halo 3, when I started up the campaign, blew my freaking mind. Just the graphics alone and the atmosphere of like that first mission where you're Master Chief with Sergeant Johnson hiding in the woods hunting down the Covenant aliens. It blew my mind. And then just every mission afterwards, playing the campaign, like the campaign was so much fun. And I remember, like, the campaign was so good. I remember playing it, and basically every time I'd play it, I would try to hone my skills and make it so I was better at the campaign. Like Halo 2, I just played it over and over and over. Halo 3, I deliberately tried to get better at the campaign because it was so freaking cool. And the, like, flying around in the Hornets and the Mongooses, that was when Mongooses were introduced. And not wanting to do the Warthog because the Warthog was the older vehicle, and oh man, that game was so fun. And then I started really touching the multiplayer, and I haven't played multiplayer online at this point. We didn't have Xbox Live anymore. I was a little too young to be playing Xbox Live, even though at this time, when I started messing with the multiplayer, I was playing RuneScape and like getting pissed off at people on RuneScape, right? Very weird. But in Halo 3, the multiplayer stood out to me especially because of how well put together it was. Like, everything about this game was well put together. I didn't have any gripes about it. But I just remember, like, wanting to be able to play this multiplayer with friends. And I didn't have any, I was still homeschooled at this time, so I did not have any friends because we had just moved. I know, right? I didn't have any friends whatsoever. But I remember messing around with my sister, and when my cousins came over, we all played together, and it was absolutely amazing. Just watching, just having fun with my cousins on the Halo 3 multiplayer. But then, after the Halo 3 multiplayer, was Forge Mode. And I remember ignoring Forge Mode because I was like, I don't know what the heck this is. I know what Theater Mode is. That's pretty easy. With Forge Mode, I don't even know what Forge Mode is. And then I touched Forge Mode and my life changed, right? The concept of building my own Halo levels was absolutely amazing. I was amazed at how customizable the multiplayer was, because in Halo 2 it was really customizable. Halo 3 was even more customizable. And then Forge Mode came out, you could make your own map variants, right? And I remember doing mini games. I remember creating mini games, but not in the Halo, not in the Halo 3 ODST sandbox, but in the Halo 3 original multiplayer Sand Trap. I remember taking that game and in Sand Trap, because it was the biggest map and it was the most customizable, and making custom obstacle courses and custom minigames. Like, we had one where someone would ride around in like a tank and chase you. There was one where you had to set up obstacles around the big ring that you could drive around. You had to set up obstacles and run away on a mongoose while someone was driving around in a Hornet. We'd have Hornet Banshee fights too, and we just played the crap out of that game. We'd set up like a landmine line and mess with each other and just kind of like set up base camps and stuff. Oh my gosh, the Halo 3 Forge mode was probably the most revolutionary thing. It double mind-blowed me, right? The entire game of Halo 3 mind-blowed me, and then frickin' Forge blew my mind, right? So, those were my memories of the original Halo 3 trilogy. I was a kid at the time, and I haven't really seen a lot of people talk about being a kid when the Halo trilogy came out. You could talk ages about, oh, when I was like 16, this game came out, it was revolutionary. And I'm like, bro, I was 3 and Halo was out, and I was not impressed by it a lot, even though it was the best game in the world. So, yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, you could tell me in the comments below and suggest stuff to talk about gaming in the 2000s, you know, what I thought of games. I played a lot of games in the 2000s, and I even revisited the Super Nintendo and the Nintendo in the 2000s, and even the N64 a little bit. And I was a gaming kid, dude. I was a freaking nerd. I was more of a nerd when I was a kid than I am now. So, I'm on Pacific. I'll see you guys in the next episode of whatever I decide to make.